Hey, thanks for joining in. Hello, hello. Hey, everybody. Come on in. Come on in, everybody. Hey. Thank you guys for joining in. I'm going to wait a few minutes. I'm going to wait for a few more minutes for some others to join. Hey. I'm going to wait for just a few more minutes for some others to join, and we're going to jump right into some good stuff today. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day outside. The weather is nice. For those of you guys who've stepped outside your door, thank you so much. Thank you. Who've stepped outside your door. Today is a beautiful day, and it will be a beautiful day because I have so much to talk about. I have so much to share with you guys. I hope I have enough time. If I don't, I'm going to let you guys know how you guys can continue to follow me, continue to keep up with me. But I'm just going to wait like maybe 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to dive right in. Hello, everybody. Hey, cousin. I see you. Hey. Okay, so I'm gonna give it like maybe 1 more minute, and then I'll dive right in with an introduction, and then we'll start learning. Hey, I see you guys. Thank you guys so much for support. This means a lot to me. All right. Okay, so let me go ahead and jump in right now with an introduction. For those of you who do not know, I am B or Bray, Locs by B. This is me. I am the sole owner and operator of Locs by B. I specialize in starter locks, lock maintenance, lock styles, and lock repair. I started years ago with something that really became a passion for me. It allowed me to tap into a very creative side of myself, and for that reason, I'm here and I'm ready to share and learn along with you guys, because sometimes you guys teach me about locks, the process, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to kind of first share where I'm from. I'm from Los Angeles. That is where I base my business. And I know there are many lock stylists out there. I know there are predominantly more lock stylists on the East Coast, because that's where really the natural hair lock community is most prevalent. But here in LA, here in California, more and more people are interested in going natural. More and more people are interested in really getting down to their roots and expressing themselves through their natural hair, and are making the commitment to lock their hair. And so I'm proud to say that my business has flourished into something that has been so beautiful, because I've been able to connect with people. I've been able to help people build confidence in their hair. I've been able to care for people's hair in a way that makes them proud to really, really embrace their locks and want to actually inspire others to grow their natural hair, their natural locks. So that's just a little bit about myself, kind of what my goal is. And now we're going to kind of dive into a little bit about the lock process. Especially recently, many of you guys have messaged me and have asked, what is the process? What does it take? Do I have the right hair type? What are the steps? How do I care for locks? And so I want to kind of cover all those things, but I want to make sure I have time to also answer any questions that you guys have. So I'm going to go into those things, and then towards the end of the segment, I'll open up the platform for you guys to ask me any questions that you have. So first, we're going to go over the lock process. Now, the lock process, it can be defined in just a few stages or a few steps. But before we do that, I'm going to talk about the types of methods that are used in starting locks. The most common method would be the palm roll method and the interlock method. The palm roll method is one that is, I would say that it leaves a smoother lock from the root to the tip. It's not very bumpy. You don't see a whole lot of knots if done correctly. And it is neatly and tightly coiled from the root to the tip. The only case I wouldn't recommend going with the palm roll method is if your hair is very thin or very fine. The reason why is because you want to be able to wear your hair, whether thin or thick, and you want it to ultimately have a full look. You don't want, and most people, I should say, don't want just like a few locks on their head. They want a full set of locks. And if you have more thin hair and you go the palm roll method, it sometimes doesn't give you that look. So the next method I'll talk about is the interlock method. The interlock method is used with a crochet tool. And that method I only recommend if you want small to medium size locks. And the reason for that is because the hair actually has to loop through the locking tool. So if your locks are too thick or too large, it won't work because it won't be able to get pulled through the tool. I like this method for many reasons, because if you're active, if you are a dancer, or if you like to work out and you sweat in the scalp a lot, if your hair is interlocked, then you're able to kind of get away with basically having no frizz, little to no frizz. I wouldn't say no frizz because there's going to be some frizziness, but it won't look like you just worked out is basically what I'm trying to say, if you know what I mean. So the interlock method, it is knotted at the root, and then the remainder of the lock, it can be palm rolled. And that's typically what I do, just to kind of keep the ends really nice and neat, but it's for a more active person. Now, the difference between palm roll and interlock is palm roll leaves a smooth lock, interlock leaves a bumpy lock. And when I say bumpy, I don't mean to say that in a negative way, like that's a bad thing. I say bumpy because what actually happens is it begins to kind of look like a braid, not exactly like a braid, but almost like a braid, because you can see a pattern in the lock that is similar to what a braid looks like. So those are the two common methods. You have your palm roll method, and then you have your interlock method. There are a couple other methods that I'll go over just now. The next method is the braid method. If any of you guys have ever had individuals, you know that when you take out individuals and you don't comb your hair is kinky. It's knotted up, and you could literally start locks that way. You can go from having individuals, take your individuals out, and your hair is all kinky, it's already parted. Some people have started locks that way. The other way of braiding, using the braiding method, is literally to just do that. Braid your hair and leave those braids in. Braid your natural hair, leave it in. You look up 3 to 6 months from there, your hair has locked up. It's begin budding and everything. And I'll explain what budding means in just a second. I don't want to go too fast. So we have the palm roll method, nice smooth coiled lock from the root to the tip. We have the interlock method, which is used with an interlock tool, kind of similar to what a braid looks like, but not exactly. If you work out a lot, that's perfect for you. Then we have the braid method, which you can use if you've braided your hair, taking the braids out, and then you can kind of just rock your locks from there. And then lastly, I want to talk about the 2-strand method, and then the newly introduced instant lock method. So the 2-strand method is, like, you remember back in the day as a little girl, at least for me, you know how mom used to twist your hair up, put a little ball in a barrette? Well, that's the 2-strand method. You take 2 strands of hair and you twist it, you overlap it, one or the other, over the other. That is actually a way that you can lock your hair. You can leave your hair in that style if you have more kinky hair or more kinky texture, and your hair can lock up that way. The last method that I'll go over, which is kind of new, or fairly new, I should say, is the instant lock method. Now that method, some lock naturals do not like that because they say people are cheating now. They're just going straight to locking their hair and they're not going through the journey, but I'm still going to discuss it because it is a method. But this method, basically, there's really no journeying through the locks. It's literally just you're sitting in the chair. There is a crochet needle that you take the hair and you wove it in in and out, in and out, in and out, and it actually locks your hair instantly. There is no 3 to 6 month wait. There is no budding phase. There is no none of that. It's just an instant lock. So those are the methods that are commonly used in the lock care community to start locks. And now I'm going to talk about what to expect. All right. I get questioned about this the most often because people want to know, well, how long is it going to take my hair to lock? Or they're asking, what does it look like in the beginning? Or what do I have to use in my hair? Or how do I wash my hair? Can I wash my hair? These are all great questions, and I'm going to answer as many as possible right now. All right, so let's first talk about what to expect. If you don't have locks, this is a perfect time to tag somebody who's talking about it, who's interested in it, because now I'm going to talk about from point A to point B. I'm going to talk all about the stages of locks. So initially, you have what's called starter locks. It's the very beginning phase. It's when you've decided what method you want to use. It's when you've decided how you want to part your hair. It's when you've made the decision and you have the method that you want to use, how you want it to ultimately look, how many you want. Some people have even got that detailed with me with just saying, oh, I want 50 locks. I want about 100 to 200 locks. That all comes into play in the starter phase, okay? Now, the reason why I'm emphasizing starter phase is because if you wait too long in the phase, there are some things that I cannot undo. Because at that point, your hair is locked. At that point, your hair is matured, and I can't go backwards, okay? Without damage to your hair, which I don't work backwards anyway, but I've known for people to ask me to do things that's working backwards, and I speak against it. So you have the starter lock phase, and that phase is what people call like the ugly phase. I don't like to call it the ugly phase because I love locks and I think they're beautiful. And I don't think any phase of locks is beautiful. I don't think any phase of locks is ugly, but people commonly refer to this phase as the ugly phase. Now, in this particular phase, you're still able to manipulate your hair quite a bit because your hair is not fully locked. Again, you've made a decision on the method and you've made a decision on the parting and how many you want. And that's pretty much that phase. It's typically the first 3 months of your lock journey, but it also depends on your hair texture. It could be the first 6 months. It just depends. The next phase is baby locks. Now, baby locks, they're looking like something, like you got a little something going on. And your hair has produced what's called buds, and buds are just those little itty bitty knots that come inside, that come inside your lock, and it's kind of like a knot, but not quite. Those are called buds, and I'll be able to show you guys pictures, and I'm going to be detailed about that when I do a post about this. But let's keep going. So we have baby locks. You got your buds, and they're coming in. And the key thing that you should know about the baby locks is that that's when, if you started with your braid method or your twist method, you no longer see the lines. They will start to disappear, and it'll now start to look like a lock. So if you started off with the braid method looks like a braid for quite some time, and then after about 3 to 6 months, it begins to disappear. The pattern of a braid begins to disappear. The pattern of the 2-strand begins to disappear. So that's the baby locks. Now you have a teenage phase. And I know what you guys are thinking, like, this is corny. There's a baby phase and then there's a teenage phase. You probably can guess what the next phase is, but these are literally, this is what it's called. I'm not making this up. So the teenage phase is when you are, when you've gone past baby phase, you've gone past starter lock phase, and now what's happening is you begin to see your lock size swell up. Now, I tell everybody when I start, your hair, the size that you start with is not the size that it will be ultimately. Your locks will swell over time. So I always start people a size lower than what they expect. So if you say, I want medium to large size, well, I know I'm going to take a step down because once they swell up, I want you to be sure that it's going to mature into the medium to large size, okay? So in the teenage phase, the locks begin to swell up almost about 2 times the original size, okay? 2 times the original size. They become a little bit more dense. They shrink a bit more. Just in terms of like if you have curlier hair or longer hair, you see a lot of shrinkage, and that's the teenage phase, okay? And then lastly, I'm sure you guys can guess if the second phase was baby locks and the second phase, after that was the teenage phase, then you could probably guess this last phase is called adult phase. It sounds so corny, but this is it, I swear. So in the adult phase, your locks are fully matured. There's no more swelling. There is the ends of your hair, they're sealed. So you know how you can sometimes see like a little coil at the end of your lock? Nope. Well, actually, there will always be a coil if there will, Shay, come on now. There will always be a coil if your hair is naturally coiled. There will always be like a little doop at the you like how I did that sound? Okay, anyway. There will always be a natural curl or a coil at the end if your hair is naturally coily. But altogether, it will be smooth, nice and solid. Your locks will be, you'll know that you're at this phase when you can like wash your hair and it's not a bunch of hairs coming out of the locks, like stragglies and frizziness is still intact. They're nice and solid. That's when you know you're there. You're at the highest point. You are a lock queen. You are a lock king. You're there. You've reached it. You've gone past all the phases. And now it's just about taking care of your locks, making sure that they are moisturized, making sure that they're strong, and that they're smelling good and they're looking good for whoever that, you know. Anyway, so we are going to now go into caring for your locks. Now, one thing that you should know is when you're caring for your locks, you have to first know what type of hair you have, okay? I don't recommend the same hair treatment or the same hair care for every single client. And I don't do that because everyone does not have the same type of hair. Everyone's hair does not respond to the same type of product. So I may suggest to some, use coconut oil. And I may say to others, don't put coconut oil in your hair. And it's not that I'm trying to be confusing. It's just that I'm trying to give the proper advice for the proper type of hair. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about hair types, and then we'll go into talking about hair products. But I need a drink of water first, so hang on, please. Sorry, guys. Okay, so all right, so let's do it. Let's talk about hair types. When I talk about hair types, I don't want to go too much into like 4A, 4B, 4C, HIJK. I don't want to do that because that to me is a whole lot, and I want to simply explain this. I don't want to get all into types. I don't believe in the types like that anyway, but I don't know, they do that. But I want to more so just talk about two different kinds of methods, and two different kinds of hair types, if you call it. And the first type is low porosity, and then the second type is high porosity. Now, if you're not exactly sure what they mean, I'm going to explain to you right now. So let's go into low porosity first. Basically, porosity, if I could define it, is simply and as short as possible, it's how well your hair retains water and moisture. That's pretty much, that's the easiest way I can explain that definition. And so now we're gonna talk about that a little bit, and then you could answer to yourself, or you can kind of type it in the comments if you have low porosity hair or high porosity hair. So let's go into low porosity hair. If you have low porosity hair, you're gonna typically experience these things. The first thing is you're going to struggle with retaining moisture. That's the first thing. If you have low porosity hair, you're going to struggle with it. It almost seems like no matter what you do, you can't quite keep your hair moisturized, okay? When you wet your hair, for an example, hair takes, it takes forever to really get wet for whatever reason. Like you have to put your head under the water for quite some time for it to really get saturated, okay? That is another sign. Then the next sign is that your products, for whatever reason, they sit on your hair. Now let me explain what I mean by that. If you're using a butter or a cream, this is a perfect test. When you apply it, instead of it really being absorbed in your hair, you can see it, like it's just sitting on top. Like it's not, it didn't quite work its way through, even though you worked it through. It's just sitting there. That's another sign, okay? The other sign is that your hair is easier to manipulate if it's a little damp. Now, some people can manipulate their hair a lot better if their hair is dry, but when you have low porosity hair, you gotta have a little bit of water to be able to slick your edges down and really lay it like you want to, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? Again, the next sign is that when you put on product, it takes a while for it to like really smoothen in. Again, the product will most likely sit on your head, but it will take a while to really smooth. You know what I mean? Okay. So lastly, one way that you know you have low porosity hair is it's resistant to chemicals. So what I mean by that is if you've ever colored your hair and it's just like, my hair didn't do anything, it didn't change, or I've had this color on for quite some time and it still looks the same, you more than likely have low porosity hair. Okay? Hard to retain moisture, hard to retain any type of anything that would give moisture or gloss to your hair. Low porosity, that's you. Okay, we're gonna go into some products that you can use if your hair is low porosity, but I'm going to first talk about high porosity. Okay, excuse me, Brayden, can you go ask your dad, please?
I'm gonna move to sleep.
Okay, you have to wait. Mommy's doing a video. Sorry, guys. I have kids, so I'm sure you guys know what that life is like if you do. Okay, so the next, stop it, Brayden. Okay, so the next type I'm going to explain is high porosity. All right. High porosity hair absorbs water and moisture very well. Very well. You don't need much, and it's shining and it's glossing and it's flowing and it's glowing, and you don't need much. That's a sign. Another sign is that it works well with conditioners, like leave-in conditioners, for an example. Leave-in conditioners, I typically, when I work with clients, I typically condition the hair, and I typically use a leave-in, and I'll tell you why. For the most part, I always do a leave-in with all my clients. I'll explain that a little bit later, but you want to do a leave-in conditioner, and if you do it, you have high porosity hair, it works really well. It's able to retain that moisture. Okay. The next thing is if you have high porosity hair, then for the most part, if you use like a coconut oil, it works great. It glosses it, and not just for the day. There's some people will use an oil and they'll say it works in the moment or it works in a day, but the next day I woke up and it's dry. Well, if you have high porosity hair, the coconut oil is gonna last you more than just one day. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna go into talking about I'm gonna talk about some hair care methods for both low porosity and high porosity. But actually, before I do that, I want to say there is a way that you can be in the middle. You can be somewhere in between low porosity and high porosity. You know, everything that I mentioned, it may not like check off all your boxes, but I wanted to kind of give you an idea so you know is your hair type more towards the low porosity or the high porosity spectrum? Okay. So now I want to talk about how you care for each of those types. Okay. If you have low porosity hair, and you're deciding that you want to lock your hair, or if you have locks and you have low porosity hair, what works best for you would more than likely be water-based products, okay? And what I mean by that is you can get away with a gel, a non-flaking gel. You can get away with a pomade. You can get away with anything that's water-based for the most part, because it's not difficult for your hair to retain moisture. Because it is difficult for your hair to retain moisture, you want to put in something that's water-based. That's what I mean. Sorry to confuse you guys. Okay. I'm going to give you guys a list of products, and I'm going to post it on my story and post it on my page so that you guys can get an understanding of, okay, well, what kind of products does she recommend? I'm going to put that out there, but I first wanted to give you guys like an outline. So then the next method, the next type is high porosity. And now I'm going to give you tips on how, if you have locks or you want locks, even if you don't, these are just good ways to take care of your hair. If you have high porosity hair, this is how you would care for it, okay? If you have high porosity hair, you want to do a couple things. After you wash your hair, you want to be sure that you have a leave-in conditioner, okay? And then you want to have an oil in whatever product you put on your hair after that. So like if you wash your hair, you put a leave-in conditioner, and if you want to use a cream, for an example, which I recommend, if you're high porosity, you use a cream, butter, shea butter, whatever the case may be. You're gonna put that cream in your hair, and you want to couple it with a sealer or an oil for extra moisture, okay? So you're going to shampoo your hair, have a leave-in conditioner, and then whatever product you have, you're going to put in preferably a butter or a cream. You're going to make sure you also have an oil that goes with that, okay? So the oils, a lot of people ask me this all the time. They say, I oil my hair all the time and it doesn't stay moisturized. The shine only lasts for a certain amount of time. So you want to know if you're low porosity or high porosity so that you know how to go about oiling your hair. But I will say this, you have to know the difference in the types of oils that you're putting in your hair. There are moisturizing oils, and then there's sealing oils. Now, your moisturizing oils are your day-to-day oils. So they're like your coconut oil, your olive oil. And those are like you can put on your hair every day. You can work them in your scalp or whatever the case may be. If you have a sheen or a spray, you can kind of spray it all over your hair. And those are moisturizing oils. Now, your sealing oils, which are the same oils that you will put in your hair after you wash and condition your hair, are the thicker oils such as castor oil. If you've ever worked with castor oil is thick. It is mighty thick. You use that to seal in the moisture, okay? I don't recommend that as a daily moisturizer because it's too thick. It's way too heavy. You don't want to close your pores, your hair cuticles. You don't want to do that. So you want to use the moisturizing oil such as coconut or olive oil, something light, as a daily moisturizer, and then you want to use a sealing oil to retain whatever product that you put in to hold the moisture in, okay? So that's not your everyday oil, but it's a sealing oil. You have to seal it, okay? So I'm gonna take this time right now to answer some questions because I do see some on my screen and I don't wanna run out of time. I think I only have an hour and then Instagram is just gonna be like, boop, you're done. So I'm gonna answer a couple questions before I go into the next part of the discussion. And then if you guys think of anything else, you can, or if you want to ask me something privately, you can always just message me and then I can still answer the question. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to see if I see any questions. Okay. If I see any questions. Okay. Let me see. Do, 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 do. Okay, you're at the teenage phase. Very good. Let me know how you're caring for your hair at the teenage phase. Low, low, low. Okay, somebody's already identified their hair as low porosity. I see you, Air. You're low porosity. Yes, you are. That is true. Yet, how long should you wait? Okay, I see one question. If you don't have locks yet, how long should you wait to get starter locks? Basically, I recommend two things. I recommend that your hair be, this is my personal recommendation. I don't know about other lock stylists, but this is just my preference. I recommend that your hair be at least an inch and a half long. And I recommend that you have no chemical in your hair, meaning relaxer. Color is not so bad, but the relaxer, the problem with having a relaxer in, it leaves your hair too straight. And if your hair is too straight, then it's just that portion of your hair won't lock. Or it will, but it'll just take even long time. It won't look as good. So I would say that you can start as long as your hair is not relaxed and it's long enough. Okay. Chanel wants to know what kind of hair do... Oh, you tell me. Because I want to see if you were paying attention to me. Tell me if you think I have low porosity hair. You may be able to tell by just kind of looking at it. Possibly. Let me know, Chanel. If you don't know, I'll tell you by the end of the video. Okay. Another question for new beginners with a short TWA, 2 inches. If you guys don't know, TWA is teeny weeny afro. So with the short teeny weeny afro, 2 inches, are comb coils or 2 strands best? I have thick hair. What's the difference between the two? Great question. 2 inches, okay, that's fine. You're ready to start. You have the right length. Comb coils or 2 strands, which is best? I would say I have to first know what type of hair you have. I have thick hair. Okay. Give me a little bit more information. Is it thick and curly? Does it have a natural coil? If it has a natural coil, comb coils will look really nice. If it doesn't necessarily have a very tight or natural coil, I will go with the 2 strands. The difference is a comb coil is literally used with a comb, a rat tail comb, and it's coiled with the comb from the root to the tip. In my opinion, the coils are beautiful, but they're kind of loose. And most people who are starting locks, their main concern is, I don't want my hair to unravel. I don't want my hair to unravel. And that typically will unravel in a shorter period of time versus the 2 strand method, okay? I'll go into more oils in a little bit for that. Carrier oils. Okay, I'll go into more oils in a little bit. What is a reasonable price to charge for starter locks? What is a reasonable price to charge? You know what? It just depends on the lock stylist. I mean, I don't like to say I can't speak for someone else and what they charge and what they do, because I do believe that, you know, when you're getting service, and this isn't just as a lock stylist, I'm speaking as just someone who purchases things from other people. You want to obviously be sure that what you're paying for is worth it, but then at the same time, you sometimes may pay a little bit more, or pay or want to or be open to paying a little bit more for who's servicing you and who you're wanting to support. So I can't really say what a reasonable price to charge for locks. It's kind of just where you're at. If you're starting though, I recommend that you kind of do a little research, just in terms of like the general price, depending on where you live, and the region that you live in, because that has a big part in how you would charge. I know people that are on the South, for an example, where the cost of living is a whole lot lower. They don't charge as much as people on the West Coast. So you got to kind of do a little bit of research. And I think you would learn a lot just by researching and then finding out where you kind of fit in on the spectrum. Okay. How many times should I get a retwist? It depends. What look are you going for? Some people like the freeform look and they don't get their hair retwisted very often at all. They may get their hair, like I have a client that gets his hair twisted like once, maybe twice a year. And it works for him because that is his style. That's his look. It fits him. And he does a great job of maintaining his hair. His hair stays strong. It stays clean, but he doesn't get his hair retwisted very often. I think it depends on your look and what you're going for, the statement that you're trying to make. I think that has a lot to do with it too. Okay, let me see if there are any other questions. If you have coily hair, my suggestion is you may want to do comb coils. 2-strand, those are always really nice with coily hair. You can also do the palm roll method. Those will all be good for you. All right. Can you mix the moisturizing oils? And I don't recommend that you do because they serve different purposes. Moisturizing oils are an everyday oil. They're lighter. If you combine it with the sealing oil, then it really doesn't have the same effect. You want to keep moisturizing oils in its place, which is to moisturize your hair. And then the sealing oils in its place, which is to seal the moisture that you've put in your hair with either like a butter or a cream or a gel, whatever you've used. So I wouldn't recommend mixing both of them. Okay, I have 3B, 3C hair. How long will it take to lock? What method do you want to use? That's my question to you, and that will help me answer that. Okay, do you have any methods to grow your hair faster? Yes, if you want to grow your hair fast, leave it alone. Literally, leaving your hair alone, taking away manipulation from your hair, it allows it to grow, it allows it to breathe. The other thing is you want to make sure you're routinely practicing the routines of whatever hair type you have. So when I talked about low porosity, you want to make sure you're still caring for your hair, but you don't need to braid your hair in between. I mean, those are great. Those are ways your hair can grow, but ultimately your hair will grow if you leave it alone. Absolutely will grow. Okay. Let me see if there are any other questions. How do I keep my hair moisturized? I just got on. Well, thank you. Thank you for just getting on. You can keep your hair moisturized by using any moisturizing oil, such as coconut oil, jojoba oil, grapeseed oil. Those are my 3 favorite. Okay, and I would recommend that you use those oils on a daily basis. And then when you wash your hair, then condition your hair, you want to use a sealing oil, which is thicker oil such as castor oil. Okay, that's how you can keep your hair moisturized. Hey, I see you. My hair is fine but thick, so how should I start locks? Diamond parts, box, or U-shape? That's really a preference based question. When people are parting their hair in different ways, it's not necessarily due to the texture of their hair. Some of it is just due to the style. So if your hair is very fine, I would say all of them are okay, but if you have fine hair, keep the size of your locks on the smaller side, okay? Don't go too big. Okay, I believe I have 3C hair and thinking about starting locks with the 2-strand twist method, but my hair gets too frizzy. What would you recommend? I have 2-strand. I would recommend doing the interlock phase. If you are worried about frizziness, the interlock phase gives you a nice rooted lock. And if your hair gets frizzy, or if you work out a lot, or you sweat in the scalp a lot, that'll keep your hair from getting so frizzy, and it'll also retain the look of a nice lock. Fine hair. For fine hair, can it be started and maintained only with water and oil? Yes, but it will not hold very long. You will have to retwist your hair quite a bit with just oil and water, unless you put in a protective style. If you put in a protective style, you can get away with oil and water only, which is fine. But I would say put in a protective style so that you can actually preserve the look of your locks. Combining mature locks. Okay, here's the thing. Remember earlier how I mentioned there are different stages in locks, and after a certain stage, it may be a little too late to do some things. Now, in this case, if your locks are mature, combining them, the only way that you could do this, the most effective way that you can do this is you have to get them yarned together, sewed together, or you would have to add, let me see. You can yarn them. So you can yarn them, you can sew them, or another way, and it's not, honestly, it's a whole lot. You may not even want to do this, but if you really, really want to do it, I'll tell you what to do. You can always get lock extensions, and what I mean by that is it's not necessarily to make your hair grow longer, but if you add hair around your locks that you're trying to grow together, it gets solid and it grows together. Okay? That's another thing that you can do. Okay. Oh yeah, if you missed the explanation to any of your questions, you guys can always message me. All right, I think I've answered all the questions. Wait, hang on. I have another question here in my box, I think. Okay. All right. Oh, there's another one. When retwisting, how do you clip your locks, especially the back? I'm sorry. I don't know why I said black. Maybe because I'm black. I don't know. Okay. When retwisting, how do you clip the locks? Okay. It's easier for me to show you how to do that versus explain it. And I will be producing more content on starting locks, the different methods, how you use your hands, the routine, the muscle memory that you have to perform to begin to get faster, I will work on all of that. But I can't really explain that. I'm sorry. I will have to show you that. You guys laughing at what I said? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I said black instead of back. Okay, so I have another question. Why smaller parts for thinner hair as opposed to larger parts? Because if your hair is thin, your locks won't be very full. So your locks won't be very thin if you have larger parts. I don't know if that makes sense, but I may have to demonstrate that to you. Okay. I'm gonna keep going. Okay, what is the difference between, okay, I'm glad it makes sense to you. But if it doesn't, you guys, you can always just message me. Okay, I'm trying to keep up. What do you use to retwist your locks? Okay, when I had locks, I did a big chop in December of 2008. Lying, December 2018. When I retwisted my locks, I would use a couple different products. I'm gonna give you guys a product list. You'll see it in my stories and you'll see it on my my feed. I'll give you my products, and I'll also have pictures and everything. So if you could just hold on for that, then it'll make sense, and I'll have descriptions and everything why I use it, and we'll talk about that. When did you cut your locks off, and what made you decide to? So yeah, December of 2018, I had locks for 11 or 12 years, and I was ready for a change. I was ready for just wanting to see myself in a different way. My locks were also getting very heavy, and I'll explain to you guys how that can happen. My hair is very thick, and they were very long, and I had a bunch of them. So after a while, they started to get really heavy, and I would trim them, and they would feel lighter, but then ultimately, I still felt the heaviness in my back, and I knew that wasn't healthy. So that's why, that's another reason why I cut my locks, okay? Okay. Yes, that is true. You will be able to see your scalp too much. Thank you for helping me explain that for thin hair with big parts. Yep. Yep, that is 100% true. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So, I don't have too much more time. I'm going to try to answer a couple more questions. If you guys have a couple more, shoot them my way, but if not, then I'm going to have to send you guys to my DMs. So just really quickly, I'm not able to explain every single thing here in this video, but what I'm looking to do, and I'll continue to do, is I'll continue to put out content live for you guys as often as I possibly can. I am in the works of creating a YouTube channel. Finally, I know you guys have been waiting. You guys have been patient. I'm not really a camera person per se, but I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to change some of the fear that I've had, some of the insecurities that I've had with getting in front of the camera. I'm trying to be more comfortable. So I'm doing that. I'm doing what I can. I'm doing the best that I can. I want to be able to produce as much for you guys so that in this time during quarantine, and even beyond quarantine, that you guys are still able to maintain your hair. I want to give you tips. I want to give you tools. I want to give you methods. Some of you guys are looking for a hustle and you're wanting to know, like, I do hair now or I do braids now and I want to learn how to do locks. I want to be able to help you. And I am going to be doing that as much as I possibly can. Feel free to message me with any questions or concerns that you guys have about your locks during this time. For my clients who have been so patient and so faithful to, me and my services, I'm going to be back as soon as I possibly can. I want to be safe. I want you to be safe. And so I don't want to expose myself too soon. I don't want to be exposed too soon to the outside world, but I'm working on giving you some things to hang on to keep your locks strong, to keep your locks healthy in the in-between time. I didn't say much about it in the beginning of the video, but I did want to take the time out to say that if any of your family or any of your friends have experienced the coronavirus, my hearts are out to you guys. My prayers are out to you guys. I am thankful and I'm grateful and favored in my life because I don't know anyone personally that has been affected by the virus, but I do have friends who have family members who have been affected and have passed on. And so I take this time to say that if you know someone or someone that's been ill, again, my prayers are with you. My heart is out to you for that. And we're gonna get through this, you guys. We're going to together. I believe what I love about this time is I really feel like, at least for me, God has really allowed me to sit down in this time and close out the busyness of the world. And he's put me in a place where I'm working on myself as an individual. And as an individual, there are things that I really feel like I probably should have put more effort into in terms of self-care, but I just was so busy. I just was so busy with, the ins and outs of life. And so in this time, I'm working on being patient. I'm working on slowing down my pace and really still pushing towards my purpose and my passions. Hair is one of my passions. And so I'm pushing myself. Like, this is really big for me to be on video right now. You guys know I never go on live. This is huge for me right now. And so I thank you guys for your support. I thank you guys who have been with me and have prayed for me or sent positive light. I do thank you guys because without it, I feel like this world can be a cold place. Without it, I feel this world can be very it can feel disconnected. And I thank you guys for continuing to connect with me. And I'll do my best to connect with you, even if it's here, just like in my living room. Again, products and things like that, I'm going to post. So don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. In the coming videos, you'll see me. I'm waiting on my hair. I got a mannequin that I ordered, but I'm waiting on that to come so that I can show you guys some hands-on training. I'm going to transition to my YouTube channels for a lot of these trainings. If you guys have any ideas or suggestions as to how I could show you some things or talk about some things you really want to hear about or see, just let me know. I'm open. I'm ready to share. I'm ready to give you what I have. This is free, and I am doing my best to give you guys solid content, and I'm doing my best to give you guys the best knowledge on all that I can. But I do thank you and appreciate those who have sent in a Cash App donation. If those of you who are interested, it's not mandatory. It's just I'm putting it out there because why not? I'm gonna put it here in the comment box for those of you who would like to donate anything to me, just to keep me going in terms of being able to provide resources so that I can teach and explain to you everything in a way that makes sense. I would appreciate it. I am working on a project of my own, actually. I'm working on some stuff, you guys. Like I'm really using this time to hone in on all the gifts God's given me, every single one of them. And so I encourage you guys to do this in this time as well. But I'm working on a hair product. I'm working on a hair growth oil, and bear with me as I am pushing towards that mark of launching that. But I appreciate your support. I appreciate everything. Like literally, I've been doing this since I've been let me see, maybe I was doing this. I started this as a high schooler, senior year. For those of you guys who've been rocking with me for years, I was doing this in my dorm rooms. I was doing this at my grandmother's house, in my grandmother's garage. I transitioned to, working in my home, my salon studio, in my home that I created. And now I am blessed to say that I have tons of supporters, tons of people. I don't like to say clients. I like to say people that allow me to serve them, because you guys have had to be the ones to open up, and you guys have to be the ones to really share with me and allow me to craft your hair, to beautify your hair. So thank you. Look out for my product. Look out for more news and updates and teachings, because I want to change the trajectory of Black hair. I don't want people to feel like locks are, I don't want any negative connotation when it has to do with locks and natural hair. And I want to change that, and I want to educate you guys, and I want you guys to feel confident and beautiful about your natural hair. Okay, so thank you guys again. If you are able to provide a donation, thank you so much. If not, no problem. I'm still going to do this for you because I love you and I want to share with you. So thank you for joining in. I'm going to continue this, so don't fret. I didn't get through the entire list, but that's okay. I'd rather take my time. So I'm going to log off now. If you guys have any questions, just inbox me. And again, thank you. I appreciate you guys. Please stay well. I'm praying for your families. I'm praying for the world, our leaders, our nation. But you guys, please be well. Please stay safe. And I wish you the best, and I'll see you next time. Okay? Love you, love you, love you. Take care. Bye-bye.